Hello, everybody. Welcome to Berry Aftercare, the podcast. This week on Berry Aftercare, the topic is don't should on yourself. Yes, you heard me correctly. I said don't should on yourself. I told my daughter that's what it was going to be, and she said, "Excuse me?" Well, a lot of you have heard the expression no shoulding on yourself, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. Let me start with a story. Many years ago, I had a friend. Note the word had. We were college friends and we remained fairly close for a lot of years afterwards. She moved to another state and I moved to another state, and eventually our states were fairly close to one another. So we'd get together from time to time. But every time we did, what I noticed is that she made comments to me that often had shoulds in them. For example, she would say things like, "Honey, you should really cut your hair in such and such a way. Connie, you should at least come to where I live and let my stylist get the line right. Connie, you should put an accent shelf right here on this wall. Connie, you should read thus and such a book and use that style of writing, blah, blah, blah." So, guess how her shoulds affected me? Well, at that time in my life, I allowed her comments to really get under my skin. I felt a lot of insecurity. Clearly, she didn't like the way I was doing things in my life. And I definitely felt like, in some ways, I wasn't good enough. Now, if this happened today, I'd react differently. But the point is, it does not feel good when others should on you, nor does it feel good to should on yourself. And we do it all the time. So let's talk about what our highlights are going to be today. We're going to talk about what in the world is this shoulding thing? What is this all about? We'll also talk about other words that affect us, like the word should does. Words like shoulda, coulda, mighta, oughta. You've heard that before, right? Must, have to, ought to, all those things. We're going to talk about how shooting on others negatively affects you and them. And then we'll talk about ways to change this behavior. No shooting on yourself or shooting on others. And of course, because this is a very aftercare focused podcast, we'll talk about how this can negatively affect your goals of living a healthier life, doing the things you want to do, and developing your healthiest overall lifestyle. So let's start with number one. What in the world is this shooting on yourself all about? I'm going to start with this famous talk that was in the recent Barbie movie. Now, honestly, I've not seen the movie, but I've heard this talk in all kinds of comments and I've read the talk. So I'm going to read the talk and I'm going to take the liberty of changing some of the words. The author will say things like have to, which is equivalent to should, right? So here's how it goes, all right? From the Barbie movie. You should be thin, but not too thin. And you should never say you want to be thin. You should have to say you want to be healthy, but you should also have to be thin. You should have money, but you can't ask for money. You shouldn't ask for money because, well, that's crass. You should be a boss, but you shouldn't be mean. You should lead, but you shouldn't squash other people's ideas. You should love being a mother, but you shouldn't talk about your kids all the damn time. You should be a career woman, but you should always also be looking out for other people. You should answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You should stay pretty for men, but you shouldn't be so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women because you should be part of the sisterhood. But you should always stand out and you should always be grateful. But you should never forget that the system is rigged. So you should find a way to acknowledge that, but you should also be grateful. You should never get old. You should never be rude. You should never show off. You should never be selfish. You should never fall down. You should never show fear. And you should never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. That defines how shoulding affects you in such a good way. There's a lot of shouldn't going on in there, right? And that results in frustration. It results in anger. It results in wondering why I should bother. I should. Because who can ever do anything right? So, in that speech, a lot of shouldn't going on. And in our lives, we engage in a lot of shoulding. And yeah, there are times when, the word should is used in giving some good advice, like you should follow the directives given to you by the professionals at your bariatric center. However, most of the time, when we use the word should, this common little word, or any of its equally disempowering friends, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's going to probably end up in an unhealthy outcome for you. So let's talk about the reasons for that. Because most of the time we use the word should in a way that does lead to feeling guilty. It leads to our feeling anxiety or tension or frustration, and sometimes even despair, which for a lot of people, especially those in the bariatric community, might result in what? Emotional eating. And we do know that emotional eating can result in weight regain. So if we use the word should a lot, which is a self-talk, right? We're talking about self-talk here as well. Choosing words that can empower us or disempower us is really important. And this shoulding on ourselves may be a habit you may or may not be aware of that you engage in. So we're going to talk about some more examples here, right? Because we don't want to do anything. We don't want to use words that are going to result in more guilt, more frustration, more despair, and keep that emotional eating cycle going. So let's talk about some common shoulds we might be doing to ourselves in this bariatric process. I should get out and play some pickleball. I should get out and go for a walk. I should ride my bike. I should lift some weights. And on comes the guilt. On comes the shame. On comes the maybe rebellion. Don't tell me what to do. I'm not going to do it. Or on comes the dread. Oh gosh, I should be doing that, but I just don't feel like it. On comes the anxiety. Oh God, am I setting myself up for more failure? On comes the irritability. And then oftentimes on comes the emotional eating, and on comes the treating of the people in our home in an unhealthy, unkind, unloving way, which increases our guilt, our shame, our frustration, and possibly more unhealthy eating. Here's another one, not related necessarily to bariatrics, but other ways we should on ourselves. I should call my mother. I should call my friend. I should call my brother. I should call, right? I should. Again, here comes guilt. Here comes shame. Here comes dread, anxiety, maybe leading us to unhealthy eating. Other words that cause these same kinds of things and that are equivalent to shoulding on ourselves are things like must. I must do this. I ought to. I never. I always. I have to. All of these words lead to those negative feelings of obligation, anxiety, dread, irritability, right? We create a lot of internal rules for ourselves by using the words like should or must or ought to. These are words of obligation, right? My friend's going through a hard time. I should go visit. I should send a care package. I should call. I should send a note. Obligation, obligation, obligation. Or you're enjoying a television show. And, oh, I should get up and pack the kids' lunches. I should get up and do my meal prep. Ugh, feels like more things I have to do, more obligation. And we have so many obligations in every given day. Here's some more examples. I should stop scrolling on my social media. Immediate guilt, immediate shame. I should check in with my accountability. Obligation, obligation, obligation. So should not only induces guilt, but it's also going to decrease your desire to do the thing solely based on that one word, should. Rebellion sets in. You cross your arms. You're like, yeah, watch me, make me, just see if I'm going to do it. Like you're arguing with this entity that's not even there or real. It's just in your head. But should is very, very demotivating, right? More expectations. Not that we don't have enough already, and expectations that we feel every day from ourselves, from society, from our boss, from our partner, from our kids, from our parents, from our siblings, from our children, from our everybody. It's everywhere. So we rebel. We stick our feet in the mud and we hold firm, right? We're not motivating ourselves. So we want to find ways to intrinsically want to do these things so that they don't feel more obligatory. Yeah, these things are good and healthy. Packing your lunch, doing your meal prep, packing your kids' lunch, all those things, paying your bills, those kinds of things. Yeah, it's a good idea, right? But if we're shooting on ourselves to get them done, it's very demotivating. And there are ways to change that, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I want to talk about how these words oftentimes lead to that sense of failure. And we're talking about a bariatric population. There's already enough of this impending doom that, my gosh, what if I fail yet again? Or I've had so many failures in the past that maybe I've come to expect myself to fail. And when we use the words like should or ought to or must, we're kind of setting ourselves up for more of that failure mindset. So this is something that, of course, we have to become aware of, which is always the first step in change, and then alter our words a little bit. But let's talk a little bit more about the reasons that shooting on ourselves is shame-based, right? Because we already feel inadequate in a lot of ways. And for people in the bariatric world, one of the greatest areas of life in which they feel inadequate is this ability to maintain weight loss or stick to the behaviors required to maintain the weight loss. So if we use the word should, it really is demotivating and it really is a way to self-sabotage. We've had prior podcasts on how we self sabotage, and this can be another one. We've had prior talks about setting ourselves up for emotional eating and for relapse. Using the word should and their friends, their cousin words, is also another way to set ourselves up for relapse or emotional eating. So, the last thing we want to do is create more shame when so many of us are already carrying a lot of shame that we haven't yet learned to get rid of. And we can learn to get rid of shame, right? Shame is that feeling that says, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve a healthy life. I don't deserve good things. And it doesn't serve us well at all as adults. And it most likely stems from something in our past. So that's why therapy is always a good option to work through, where did this sense of shame or I'm not good enough or I'm not worth it come from? We have to work through that, as I've said 1,000 times, until we work through some of that shame. It's going to be long term next to impossible to continue with healthy behaviors, because our behaviors are going to match our sense of worth on the inside in the long run. So we don't want to use these shoulding words to increase our level of shame. We want to change all of our self talk so that it is more empowering. It does boost our self worth. It does boost our self efficacy, our belief that we can follow through with the healthy behaviors. So, shoulding is a shame based statement. We want to get rid of it. We don't want to increase levels of depression or anxiety, which it does. So, the other thing about should is that it indicates there's a specific way, a correct way to do things, which simply is not a true statement, right? There are many roads to Rome. Now, is it true that you should, if you want to have maintain a healthy lifestyle as a bariatric post-op, eat a lot of protein? Absolutely. Are there other ways of saying that? And is there only one way to get protein? So maybe a friend says to you, you should eat Greek yogurt. It has so much yogurt. Well, maybe, or protein, you maybe hate Greek yogurt. Or another friend says, you should just eat seafood or just eat salmon. They're shooting on you. Or maybe you're shooting on yourself. I should eat more real food, but maybe you're at the stage where real food is not settling well, and so you're getting your protein through protein shakes. So are you shooting on yourself? Are your friends shooting on you? Remember, there are many ways to get in your protein. There are many foods that have protein. You should exercise more, says your friend. You should exercise with me. You should exercise the way I do. It's the right way. You should go to Burn Boot Camp. You should go to a cycling class. You should get a Peloton. You should walk outside. You should, you should, you should, you should. Well, guess what, friends? You do you, boo. You get exercise the way you want. You get your protein in the way you want. That works for you, the way that's going to get you to where you want to be. So if somebody is shooting on you, or if you're shooting on yourself, you might want to look at how detrimental that is. And if you listen to the next couple of podcasts, I'm going to be talking about healthy communication skills. So you'll learn how to tell your friends, please don't be shooting on me. I feel like you're shitting on me. I would prefer you don't shit on me. And we'll teach you how to set those boundaries with people so others don't shit on you and you take it. All right? So you do you. You know what the goals are. You know what you need to do to keep your weight off. Do it in the way that works for you without shooting on yourself. And we'll talk about exactly how you can do that without shooting on yourself. All right, so are you indeed a person who shoulds on themselves? Is that a way to sabotage yourself? Now, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but sometimes we do things that set ourselves up to emotionally eat or to have a fight with our spouse so that we can feel sad and sorry for ourselves and we have an excuse for eating. It makes no logical sense. It's not a conscious thing most of the time, although you know that we can set ourselves up. I'm going to use a completely unhealthy example, and it's really rather sexist. But a lot of women will turn on the tears when they get pulled over by a policeman for speeding with the manipulative intent to get a warning and not a ticket. And maybe you know how to spark a fight with your spouse. Come on, let's be real. We all do, right? We know what buttons to push because maybe we want them out of the house for the night. And we know if they get mad enough, they're going to storm out. And then we have the whole house to ourselves. We have the television and the remote control, and we can eat to our heart's content. Not a healthy thing to do, but we can should on our spouses like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and pick a fight, right? Through shooting on someone else. Because honestly, what we're trying to do is manipulate or control the situation so we can have some alone time with our BFF, the bag of chips, right? Subconscious, but check yourself. Have you done this? But should is engaging in that inner critic, right? That negative self-talk. We're beating ourselves up with our talk. The inner critic. You may have heard of this. It's like we're constantly criticizing ourselves, but we also criticize others when we should on them. My friend who told me how I should wear my hair, or where I should put a shelf in my house, or where I should this or that, what kind of books I should read, or what style I should write in. Those are criticisms, right? And who are we to determine what somebody else should or should not do, because maybe it just doesn't go along with who they are? And is there not a part of that that is saying you should do it my way? My way is the right way. My way is the best way. So should is a self-criticizing word. It's a self-sabotaging word. It's a obligatory word. It's not doing you any good, I guarantee you. And when it's coming from somebody else, it's not doing you any good either, because it doesn't feel good. And when you do it to others, it doesn't feel good either. So we want to develop an awareness, which is one of the ways that we're going to talk about changing this behavior, is developing an awareness, not only when you're shoulding on yourself, but when you're shoulding on others too, or when others are shoulding on you. But before we talk about how to change that, let's talk about how if you should on others, it creates negative dynamics in your home. And again, any negative dynamics in our lives are likely to lead us back to emotional eating and setting that cycle into play. We want to do what we can to live an overall healthy lifestyle in our communication, in our self-talk, in our actions, to prevent negativity, because negativity is one of the biggest things, or stress is one of the biggest things that leads people back to unhealthy behaviors, which results in emotional eating, which results in regain. So we want to keep our lives as healthy as possible in all areas to prevent that stress and that negativity. All right, let's talk about how shooting on others negatively affects them, but it also negatively affects you and sets up those scenarios that can result in unhealthy eating. So let's say you've been under the weather for a few days, which both my husband and I have been, actually. And so maybe one or the other of you, or both of you, you're sick, but you're not sick enough to stay in bed. You tell your partner you're not feeling your best and you could use some extra help around the house. The next few days, you feel similarly, but they don't get the drift, right? So now you're feeling better and you call your BFF and the complaining begins, right? After, of course, you've given in to some emotional eating because you're all ticked off at your spouse who didn't pitch in and help you out. You call your friend and you're like, you know what? I've been sick all week and he should have been helping me around the house, right? He should have unloaded the dishwasher. He should have helped with the laundry. He should have blah, 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 blah. He should have, should have, should have. So now I'm complaining about what somebody else should have done. I'm criticizing, I'm complaining, I'm feeling bad. And if I go directly to the source and say, you should have done this and you should have done that and you should have helped me this way, now they're feeling bad. You've got friction in your relationship. Friction leads to frustration. Frustration leads to tension. Tension leads to, I don't know how to deal with stress in my life except by eating. So we want to avoid that. We want to keep our lives healthy. And so we have to learn healthier coping skills to avoid setting up stress in our lives. So we're going to talk about that in that healthy communication skills. But so what you've done is you've inadvertently upset, hurt this person that you love, frustrated them, perhaps led to their feeling or contributed to. We're not responsible for other people's feelings, but we know when we should on somebody else, it doesn't make them feel good. And how do we know that? Because it doesn't feel good when somebody else does it to us, right? So you're contributing to their unhappiness. So you're hurting somebody that you care about and love, and maybe making them feel discounted because they thought maybe they were trying to help you out. Or they may feel angry, or they may feel guilty, or they may feel shame because they let you down. So we're hurting them, we're hurting ourselves, because I don't know about you, but I don't feel real good about myself when I do things that are unkind to other people. Maybe in the moment I don't care because I don't feel good, or I want to make you mad, or I want to get even, which is not healthy at all. But if I have any kind of awareness, I know that that's not okay. And I'm going to feel bad about myself. And so that person's upset, you're upset, the tension in the household is upset. It's not a good situation. And if you haven't learned healthier skills or learned how to say, I am sorry, you didn't deserve that, that was a me problem, I had no right to take it out on you, and I am very, very sorry, which would be a good thing. But maybe you haven't developed that skill yet, or maybe you're still too stubborn or caught up in your ego, or maybe it's just you haven't gotten to a point where you're willing to say, what was my part in this? And you're blaming somebody else for all the things. So easy to blame others, right? Not good, but we'll talk about that another day. All right, and think about our kids. My gosh, think how often we tell them, you should be doing your homework. You should get off that phone. You should set the table. I shouldn't have to tell you to do this. How many times did I tell you? You should be old enough. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Poor kids. I feel bad for them. I did it to mine, and I feel bad for them. All right, so they don't appreciate being should on any more than you appreciate being should on. So we need to get rid of this shoulding on in our households. So here's the bottom line. We rarely recognize the reasons that we're shoulding on ourselves or the reasons we're shoulding on others. But it's no good for anybody, right? So we need to avoid this shoulding behavior in our households. We should stop shoulding on ourselves and others. Because you know what? When we say things to the people we love, like, you should be doing your homework, you should drive slower, you shouldn't let things go to the last minute, you should do it this way, you should talk to me like this, you shouldn't talk to me like that, right? All we're doing is saying to the person, you're not doing things the way I would do them. Or you're not doing things the way I want you to do them. I want you to do these things my way. Because obviously my way is the correct way. Guess what's happening here, my friends? You are being a control freak. You're saying, you need to do it my way because I'm a little threatened if you don't do it that way. Because maybe I feel then a little insecure about the way I'm doing it. Maybe yours is the right way, and I don't want to feel insecure about the way I'm doing it because I've always thought my way is the right way. But you're engaging in controlling behaviors when you tell people how they should do things. Remember, a motto of a control freak is, I want it the way I want it when I want it. I want what I want when I want it. And I want you to do it the way I want you to do it because that's the way I do it. So it's very controlling, and controlling behaviors are not healthy in relationships. We have to be willing to say, there are more roads to Rome, and just because you don't do it the way I do it doesn't mean it's the wrong way. So I don't need to criticize your way of doing it. I need to sit back and say, this is a me problem. It's not really a you problem. Unless you're putting me in danger and I say, I wish you would slow down, right? Otherwise, it's, you should park there. Maybe they need to park where they want to because they have their rationale. Maybe you want them to park closer so you don't have to walk so far. Maybe they want to park farther so they can walk farther. But we don't have a right to shit on others or tell them how to do things. We're being control freaks. And basically, what we're saying at a subconscious level is, you should be more like me. We don't have that right. So the moral of the should story is, when you tempted to say should, or to yourself or to somebody else, then we need to engage in some other language because we're going to harm ourselves or harm others by using that word. So, how do we go about this? Let's use the examples I said at the beginning. I should get out and go for a walk. I should get out and play pickleball. I should get out and ride my bike, blah, blah, blah. Remember that? It adds a lot of stress and obligation. So, what if we change to the word could or should to something different? Instead of saying I should exercise, which maybe sparks my defensiveness or my brattiness or I'm just not going to do itness, what if I said I could get out and take a walk? I could get out and get on my rollerblades. I could ride my bike. I could go lift some weights. What this does is it gives me options, right? It's an opportunity. It's not a must. It's not an obligation. I could do this. It's an opportunity. I have a choice. Now, I may say right now, that's not the choice I'm going to make and be okay with it. But if I'm shooting on myself, I'm going to have all that shame and guilt going on. I could do this. I think I will. Or I'm not going to do that right now. I've made a choice. I've taken a personal step in deciding, and I have autonomy. I made that choice for me based on my needs and wants in the moment. I'm not shooting on myself. Or I could say, instead of should or would, I could say, should or could, I could say, you know what? I would like to. I would like to rest right now. Or I would like to take a walk outside. Or I would like to try an exercise bike today instead of the Pilates, right? So instead of saying should or ought to or must, I could do that. Now, this gives me personal choice. I would like to. It makes me the proud owner of this idea, right? It changes the entire feeling and dynamic of those words because it puts me in charge, and we all want to feel in charge, right? We all want to feel like we have some influence in our own lives. So, as opposed to saying should, change it to I could, or I would like to, or I want to, or I might, or I am considering. These are much more positive, uplifting, optional words that change the whole dynamic. All right, let's try the other example from the beginning. I should call my mother. I should call my friend. There's that guilt, that shame, that obligation, that dread, that anxiety. I could call my mom right now. This would be a good time. Or I could call my mom, but I'm not feeling up to that right now. So I've taken the opportunity to make a personal decision without the guilt or the dread or the blame or the anxiety. All right. Or I would like to call my mom. I think I'll do it right after work. Or I would like to forego calling my mother today, and that's okay. So we give ourselves choices. We give ourselves the personal power to make a decision based on where we're at in the moment. No more shoulding, right? Eliminating the shoulds helps us to feel more in charge of our own choices. It also opens up possibilities. Just even talking about this, I can feel less tension in my body talking about the difference between options. I could, I might, I choose to, I want to. It feels so much better even saying it. Again, no shooting on others because it's about judgment and control and tension. So instead, with others, with, instead of my friend saying, you should grow your hair or you should cut it this way, they might say, have you ever thought about? You might like it, you might not like it. Just a thought I had, right? Or you should apply for this job. Instead of saying that, it's like, you know what? I saw this job opening and I thought about you, and it might be something you might be interested, it might not be. Completely your decision, right? That means, oh, this person was thinking about me. They thought of me in a positive way. They thought I might be good at that. I don't think I want to, but what a nice thing for them to do. A whole different feeling than telling me what I should or ought to or must do. Same with our kids, right? You need to spend more time with your children. You know, I've noticed your kids really clinging to you lately. I'm not sure, but it might mean they want to spend more time with you. You might consider it. I'm not telling you what you need to do. I'm not blaming you. I'm not criticizing you. I'm sharing an observation with you, which is something we're going to be talking about in those communication talks in the next couple of weeks, right? But you can see how much different it sounds rather than saying to somebody, I think you should do more volunteer work. You know what? I'd like to see you doing some things for some other people. Or maybe conversely, you should take more time for yourself. I would really like to see you spend some time doing something nice for yourself. Whole different vibe, right? Whole different vibe. So now what? How do we go from shooting on ourselves or shooting on others and get rid of these guilt words, these obligation words? How do we do that? Well, first of all, we become aware of when we're doing it, when we're shooting on ourselves or other people, or when somebody's doing that to us. So we've got to become aware of it. And then we have the choice to find some alternate words. We talked about, automatic negative thoughts. A lot of times we have automatic negative thoughts like, oh, why do I bother? And changing those thoughts to, I could put forth some effort, or I am more capable than I'm giving myself credit for, right? We have these automatic negatives, thoughts, shoulding, ought to. Those are automatic negative thoughts in a sense. So we need to replace those thoughts with other thoughts, other words. So should can become I could, or I want to, or I could consider, or I want to think about, or I am processing, right? So opening up options. So awareness, changing the words. I could spend more time with my kids. I'd like to be of more service to others. I might organize a get together with my friends. I want to increase my time meditating. I'm not shooting on myself. I'm saying I want to do these things. I want to spend more time with my friends. But if you say I want to, really make sure it's the truth for yourself, right? Don't say you want to spend more time with your friends if you don't want to. But if you do, then make that an I want to instead of a should. You already start to feel empowered when you use these kinds of words. And could gives you choices, gives you options, gives you the opportunity to feel in control and empowered and like you have the ability, right? Eliminates that critical pressure that the should words carry. All right. And then question your shoulds. You might learn something. For example, I should get out and take a walk. Well, what's the reason I should get out and take a walk? Well, it would make me feel better. It would, it would be in alignment with my values to increase my health and improve my overall lifestyle. Hmm, maybe that's a good idea. I could do that. You know what? Not only could I really want to do that because that will lead me closer to what I say I want. Let's try this one. I should call my mother. Why should I call my mother? Well, because I feel obliged to. It would make her feel better. And, you know what? I don't really feel like calling my mother. Today I need to take care of me. Yes, I want to make my mother feel good, but today I need to take care of myself. And calling my mother doesn't fit in with that plan. So I want to wait until tomorrow. I could do that tomorrow. I'll reassess that tomorrow. So asking yourself, what's the reason I should do this or why should I do this? And then make your decision based on all the factors. And let's say you're really beating yourself over something you should have done yesterday. Oh, I should have done that. I should have, I should have apologized. Well, go for it now, right? Stop shooting on yourself. And if it's something that you want to do and think it would lead you closer to your goals in life, then do it. You can erase past tense shoulds with a follow up thought. Yeah, I could have done that yesterday. I should have gone for a walk yesterday, but you know what? I really enjoyed sitting here and playing a board game with my friend, right? So you can ease up and not beat yourself up over past shoulds by not rationalizing or making excuses, but saying, you know what, I made the choice not to. And maybe saying, you know what, it's something I still could do. And then making the choice to do that if you so choose. So, what were our major points here, and what are our self-talk, our take-home messages? Self-talk, make it healthy and positive. Self-talk includes the shoulds and the musts and the ought tos. So no shooting on yourself, no shooting on others, and no allowing others to shoot on you. Invite the words could, would, can, might, want to into your vocabulary. So, what I'm going to invite you to do is to listen to this again and again, because it's going to take some while to sink in. And then invite others to listen to this. You don't have to be a bariatric care patient. You don't have to be a bariatric patient at all to benefit from changing your self-talk to being more negative, to learn the skill of not shooting on yourself. So invite others to listen to this. And then also maybe have a shooting contest with the people in your life. Maybe invite people to recognize during their day if they were shooting on themselves in some way or shooting on someone else. And then give yourself a positive point every time you make the choice to change that. And then at the end of the day, share your shooting stories with each other and how you chose to empower yourself by making a choice to use different language. So, let's get together again next week when I start a several week series about this healthy communication. A lot of us use unhealthy communication skills because we're ill equipped. Maybe we've never been taught healthy communication skills. We're going to learn to use healthy communications skills to enhance our bariatric journey, to set ourselves up to avoid tension, to avoid stress, because stress leads to unhealthy behaviors. We know this, it's documented. Stress leads to regain because stress leads to inviting those old or allowing those old habits back into our lives. So we're going to learn to use communication skills such as not shooting on yourself or others, such as using positive self talk, but knowing how to word things to have a win win with others. So we'll talk about that, and a win win with others that's going to benefit our life in an overall way, help us stick to the behaviors that lead to weight maintenance. So that's what we're going to be embarking on. And if you're not a member of the complete Bari Aftercare community, I would invite you to check it out at www.bariaftercare.com. It's BARI aftercare.com, and make this your home group. Having a home group as a post-op is a great place because you have people who get to know you and you can ask questions, you can share your good advice with others. And let me tell you something about the difference between bariatric care and some of the other communities out there. This bariatric care is looked out after by professionals. Yes, we need peer support, and we have great peer support in bariatric care, but it's monitored by professionals who have years and years and years of education and experience in the bariatric community. A lot of the programs are peer-led, which is great. Peer-led is great, but you've got to be careful where you're getting your information, because personal experience does not equate to 12 years of additional education and many, many years of experience. So I'm not dissing other programs. I'm encouraging you to be part of those and to be a part of this program, which is professionally led and for people who are beyond the honeymoon typically. But start immediately so that when you're beyond that honeymoon, you're very entrenched in Berry Aftercare. So that's all I have for that. Remember, we're talking about your health, which is ultimately your responsibility this day and every day. So join us in Berry Aftercare, and I sincerely thank you for spending your time listening to this podcast. There's a lot of them out there. Listen to all of them and take what works for you and put it into practice. Thanks for joining me, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.